there's a feature in Photoshop called maximum. Although it has a ton of uses in masking, what it basically does is that it expands the bright areas. That's it. And today we're going to use this unique feature to simulate the bokeh effect, and then we're going to use some special effects and we're going to use some special adjustments to cover our mistakes and call that special effects. So without any further ado, let's get started.
Who can think I'm such a low-down crowd? Growing up is just a trap.
Back in the mystical, magical, mysterious world of Photoshop, I'm running out of adjectives. And if you want to go ahead and download this photo and follow along, check the links in the description. The first step is separating the subject from the background. So on one layer, we will have just the subject. On another layer, we will have just the background. I know selection sucks, but you gotta do what you gotta do. So with the background layer selected, press Ctrl or Command J twice. Alright, the first one is for the subject. And the second one is for the background, not the background layer, just the regular background. Let's name it BG. Alright, now let's make a selection of the subject. With the subject layer selected, and I'm going to directly make the selection inside of Select and Mask dialog box. You can use your favorite method, that's totally upon you. So select any of the selection tools and just click at the top, there is Select and Mask. Now this is going to be only in the latest versions of Photoshop. Just click on that, 2015.5 and above. Let's change the view to on white. So when you have set it to on white, and if you increase the opacity all the way to 100%, only the selected areas will show up. Everything else will be white. Right now, nothing is selected, so it's showing all white. If you take the opacity all the way to the left, everything will show up irrespective of what is selected and what is not. So I'm going to keep it at the middle, and with the help of the quick selection tool at the top, we're just going to paint over the subject, just like this. Alright? You can be precise if you want, but I'm going to do it pretty quickly. Just paint over the areas which should definitely be in the selection. There you go. And for the hair areas, select the Refine Edge tool, the second one. And now just paint over the messy areas. Now, I'm not being totally accurate in here, but you can take your time to do so. But anyway, we can hide this later. There are lots of ways to cover our mistakes. Once you're happy with this, just make sure you scroll down and you choose Output to Layer Mask. Hit OK. Now it will show up as a layer mask. So in this layer, we just have the subject. So if I turn off all the other layers or just keep this turned on by holding the Alt key or the Option key and click on the eye, see, it has just the subject. Now the selection is not great, but that won't matter. Hold the Alt or Option, click on the eye again to turn everything else back on. Now select the background layer. Now you can turn off the subject layer for a while. All you got to do is to make a selection around the subject, leaving a little space. So with the help of the lasso tool right there, just select the lasso tool and we're going to make a selection around the subject. Again, you don't have to be accurate about it. Just make sure that you don't select any of the hair or strands of hair because it can get a little messy. All right, there we are. Well, this seems to be about right. And select all of the subject. Now we need to remove subject from it. What do? I'm sure most of you have guessed it already. We're going to just fill it with content aware. All right. So let's go to Edit and then Fill. Just make sure content aware is selected. Hit OK. Now it's going to take a little while, depending upon the resolution of your image. I wish I had a faster computer. Press Ctrl or Command D. Once it's done, now I know it looks bad, but then again, when you turn on the subject, it's going to look pretty okay. Not excellent, but okay. Now it's time to blur the background. But before we do anything here, it's very important that we convert this layer into a smart object. Why? Because then you'll be able to change the values of the filter later. All right. So let's go to Filter and then Convert for Smart Filters. Hit OK. This converts this into a smart object. Now, we are not going to simply blur it. This is going to be something special. As we discussed before, we're going to use the maximum function. And the maximum feature, all it does is that it expands on the bright areas. And it expands in two shapes, square and circle. I'm going to show that to you. So if we simply go to Filter, Other, and then Maximum, have a look at this. So right now it's square. It looks exciting, doesn't it? You can change it to circle as well. Look at this option, Preserve. Simply change that from squareness to roundness. So I'm going to leave the radius at about 62. Let's type in 62. That looks about right to me. And hit OK. Have a look. It'll expand on every bright area. right? Even if it's not a light source. So what happens is when we capture a photo with a fast lens, with a lens that can capture a shallow depth of field, the bokeh that you see is only from light sources. However, in this case, everything that was bright, have a look, even if I turn this off and on, you'll see this is not a light source, right? Back there, those are not light sources, but it still turns them into circle. Even if you have a look at the top, before, after, right? These are not light sources. So we need to erase it from the areas which are not light sources. So here's how we do it. Click on the mask button right there. Now this has a mask. Now take the brush, black as the foreground color, with a soft brush, right? Not a hard one, soft one. Remove it from the hair area so that we get the hair area back. That's why I told you, it's not necessary that you're very accurate with these things. It's kind of okay. Let's remove these. Even at the top, there you go. The side looks fine. This area, you get the hair back. Even this line that you see, just paint over it. Now I know if you paint a little extra, it's going to completely erase it, but we're going to repaint over them again. No problem at all. Have a look. These begin to look strange. No problem. All we have to do now is to change the color back to white. Press X. Now the foreground color is white, and we're going to paint back in the areas which were light sources. See? Some here, some there. And we're going to blur most areas anyway, so it's not going to matter much later. Now to make this look a little more realistic, we need to add some additional blur to it, because have a look, these circles are so damn sharp, right? So let's paint it with white right here. We want to make sure that things look right. Okay, once it's done, all you got to do is to add some Gaussian blur on top of that. Make sure the layer thumbnail is selected, and then go to Filter, Blur Gallery. Let's try Field Blur. And we're going to apply 15 is fine. 15 looks okay. Hit OK. All right. Now select the mask again, and then just repair this properly. And it looks pretty okay. Now time for us to do some color grading on this one, and the first color grading tool of my choice always is going to be curves. So with the subject layer selected or the topmost layer selected, click on the adjustment layer icon, and then let's go ahead and choose curves. You know why I like curves? Because everything is under your control. I would highly recommend watching this video first, because this is a complete guide to mastering curves. Once you watch this video, I guarantee you, you will actually fall in love with curves. So in the highlights, I want a little yellow. So what do? We go to the blue channel. So with the drop down layer selected, go to blue. Now blue is the opposite of yellow, RGB opposite of CMY. Red is the opposite of cyan, green is the opposite of magenta, blue is the opposite of yellow. We want yellow in the highlights. Blue is the opposite of that, so decreasing the blues will make yellow appear. Alright, so all we have to do is to take the point on the extreme right down. And there you have it. Let's take the midpoints up. We don't want to completely take it away from the shadows as well. So this looks okay. Now, as I can see, the highlights look a little bit greenish. So now we need to go to the green channel. Let's click on the drop down again and green channel. In this area, it becomes greenish. So we can use the hand tool, click on the hand right there, and just in this area, click and drag it down. Just like that. Now we don't want to take the green away from the shadows, because the shadows are becoming too magenta-ish, because green is the opposite of magenta. So let's take the shadows up like this. And there you have it. It is a pretty nice grade, isn't it? So here's the before, here's the after. This looks interesting. Now to add more warmth to this photo, I always like to add a special LUT, and that is crisp warm. I always love it. So click on the adjustment layer icon and then choose color lookup. Now inside of that, there are lots of options that you can try. Some of my favorites are late sunset. Of course, you need to decrease the opacity on this one, and then there is foggy night. But I really like this crisp warm to warm things up. Let's go ahead and select that. Now this has warmed things up beautifully, but it has also crushed the shadows. We don't want it in the shadows. So how do we take it away from the shadows? Simple, blend if. Double click on the right hand side of the layer. And we want to take this away from the dark areas of the layers which are underneath it. In other words, we want to take it away from the dark areas of the underlying layer. Therefore, in the blend if section, in the underlying layer slider, take the slider from left to right. Look at it carefully. Left side, dark areas, right side, bright areas. So take it away. Now we need to break it apart. Hold the Alt key or the Option key. Click on the slider to break it apart. Break it totally apart, just like this. Now hit OK. Have a look at this now. Only in the highlights. Isn't that wonderful? Now you can stop here if you want to. It looks pretty good. The bokeh is there. But if you want to spice things up a little bit, let's add a bokeh overlay. And the way we do that is by making a copy of the background again. So this is the background. We're going to make a copy by pressing Ctrl or Command J. Now, in the copy, we will take away the mask. So select the mask and drag it to the trash can. And you can also delete all of these smart filters that we had added before. So click and drag all of the smart filters to the trash can. Now, keep the background at the very top. Why? Because this is an overlay. The very top. This time, instead of using maximum, let's try blurring it. It creates bigger and a little more realistic bokeh results. So let's go to Filter and then Blur Gallery. You can use Field Blur here as well. Field Blur. Now let's increase up at the blur tools. Click on the blur tools right there. Just increase the blur. And as you increase it, have a look at the bokeh right there. It's not very, distinct, but it's kind of there. This is fine. Now to enhance it, you need to come down here where it says Effects. Now in the effects, you can actually increase the light bokeh. That doesn't look very appealing. Now you need to try these two sliders. Bring the left slider to the left. And less brighter areas will turn into bokeh. Now, we don't want the bright areas to completely wash out. So take the slider of the right to the left as well. This will take away the bokeh gradually from the bright areas. So I'm going to leave it at that. Take this one a little bit to the right as well. Now that looks interesting, doesn't it? Once you're satisfied with this, just hit OK. And keep in mind this is a smart object, so we can always go back and change the values later in case we don't like them. Now, this is an overlay. You only want to brighten stuff with the bokeh, right? So change the blend mode from normal to screen. If you want, you can also try overlay and see how it looks. So let's try overlay. No, not that good. It looks pretty bad. Screen is okay. But even then, there is something amiss, something doesn't look right. And you know what? We just have to rotate the image. Press Ctrl or Command T. A dialog box shows up which basically says that when you're transforming, all of the blur or the bokeh effect that you had applied will go away. And once you have applied the transformation, it will come back, which kind of doesn't feel right. If I hit OK, everything will go away and then you adjust it, then it will come back again. Well, in this way, you cannot see how the bokeh is going to look in the final image. Again, it's time consuming as well. I'm going to give you a workaround. Here's what you do. Let's go back. Convert the smart object again into a smart object by right-clicking on it and then choose Convert to Smart Object. That way, it will nest the smart filter inside. Now you can press Ctrl or Command T. You can rotate it any way you want. And then you can flip it, invert it, stretch it. You are the artist. You choose what to do with it. So I'm going to keep it at that and right-click on it and choose Flip Vertical. Yes, this looks nice. Okay. You can also make it bigger or smaller if you wish to. In my opinion, this looks pretty okay. But my problem with this is at the top, I don't really like this white spot. No problem. Create a mask. Click on the mask button, take the brush, black as the foreground color, and then just simply erase that from the top. Simple. There you go. You can decrease or increase the opacity if you wish to. This is just a simple overlay. Now, if you want, you can make one more copy of this one, and then let's increase the opacity to see how it is like, and then invert that again. Ctrl or Command T, right-click on it and flip horizontal. And have a little bokeh down there as well. Rotate it just a little bit. Just a little bokeh for the left-hand side. Now select the mask and then this time as well, we will have to just erase it from some areas. Ctrl or Command T, let's bring it to the left. There you go, some extra bokeh. Now let's go ahead and group both the overlays. Select the first one and then hold the Ctrl or Command, select the second one and then press Ctrl or Command G. And let's name it overlay. Alright, now we had applied these color grade to the complete image with the bokeh, right? We also need to apply it separately to the overlay as well. We can, of course, try taking it up and see how that looks. It, in my opinion, makes everything so much uniform. I want it to be separately applied. So let's go back to where we were before and then make a copy of both of these gradings that we had done. So with both of them selected, select the curves and the color lookup that we had applied and then press Ctrl or Command J. We have copy of both of them. Now take both of them at the top of overlay. Select the curves first, hold the Alt key or the Option key, click on the line between these two. It is now clipped to the overlay, which means whatever we do inside of this curves is limited just to the overlay. Similarly, do the same with this one. Hold the Alt key or the Option key, click on the line between these two. Now separately, it looks much better. Now recently, I had been listening to this album by Ellie Goulding, I guess, and the cover art really inspired me for this image. Let's have a look at this. Have a look at the gradient right there. Isn't that wonderful? So that's what we're going to try in our image as well. Back in Photoshop, and the first thing we do is click on the adjustment layer icon and then go to gradient. Now look for inspiration everywhere. You never know what inspires you. Music, going places, hiking, different things. All right, single click on the gradient and choose one with two colors. Simple. On the left hand side, you're going to choose magenta. Click on color and we're going to choose something like this. And on the right hand side, I think it was a little dark blue. You don't have to be exact with that. Click on the right hand side slider at the bottom, single click on it, and we're going to choose this blue color. It's pretty close. It isn't perfect, but it's pretty close. Something like this. We could have sampled that, but I'm just guessing it at the moment. Hit OK again, and hit OK again. And then let's change the blend mode from normal to screen. Let's see how that looks. Interesting. Let's try inverting or reversing the color. Double click on it, and this time let's click on reverse. This one or this one? What do you like? I like this one. Of course, we're going to go back to this one and make it a little darker. Let's try making it a little darker. Hit OK. Better. For the blue, let's make it even more darker. All right, hit OK again. Now, of course, this is too much. We need to decrease the opacity. So let's keep it somewhere about at 40. 40 is good. Let's keep it 40. Interesting. Now to make the face really pop out of the picture, we're going to do something a little crazy. So first of all, let's create a stamp visible layer. This is actually a merged layer of everything that you see in the canvas right now. So press Ctrl, Alt, Shift and E, Command, Option, Shift and E on a Mac. Everything merges at the top. And then go to Filter and Convert for Smart Filters. Don't forget that. Hit OK because we might want to change values later. We might change our minds. And then again, go to Filter, Camera, Raw, Filter. Now inside of that, we totally want to bump up the details in here. So let's zoom in first and go to the Details tab. Increase the amount all the way to 150. Radius all the way to 3 and Details as well. See how it really adds that grunge to the face? Hit OK. That's what we were looking for in this image. Now, you can apply this grunge all throughout the photo or just these areas. Hold the Alt key or the Option key. Click on the mask button. This creates a negative mask. Now you can take a brush and then with a big soft round brush, just dab on the areas where you want it. So with the brush selected, white as the foreground color, you can actually dab. See the details right here? Details in the hair, maybe a little bit on the hand. Now once they're satisfied, of course, this is too much. We're going to decrease the opacity. So we're going to add somewhere about 60 something-ish. And there you have it. Something interesting, isn't it? Now on top of that, you can add some noise, some texture. That's totally upon you. And this, my friend, is the final result. So that's how we can use a simple feature in Photoshop, which just expands the bright areas, something as simple as maximum, to create the bokeh effect. Everything we did after that was just us trying to cover up our mistakes in hair selections. But anyway, all you need to know is to use maximum to expand on the bright areas. First of all, we made a copy of the background layer. We made two copies, one for the subject and one for the background, which didn't have the subject. And we filled the subject area with content-aware fill. Now, all we did was we applied maximum, and as you increase the maximum, the more the bright areas will expand. Now, there are two options. You can expand it in square shapes or round circle shapes. So you can change that option. That option is right there in the maximum dialog box. After you have done that, you can create some overlays, some color grading effects, some gradients. The options are limitless. I hope this video helped you, and if it did, make sure to give us a like, and also don't forget to subscribe, and not just subscribe, ring the bell. It's very important so that you get all the notifications every time I upload something. I would also like to thank all these nice and amazing people for supporting this channel on Patreon and helping keep PiXimperfect free for everybody forever. Thanks so much for all your support. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in my next one. Till then, stay tuned and make sure that you keep creating.
No, I won't listen to any of that jive.